So I've always known that I wanted to go into the sciences. And I know this. I don't know how to work this. Oh, there we go. Because I wrote it in my 5th grade yearbook. See, once I realized that being the pink Power Ranger wasn't going to work out, I decided to go with what I liked, which was hands-on learning, which was a lot of visual. And in 5th grade, that meant that I liked science. I never knew that it wasn't normal for a girl to like science, because when I got into middle school, my friends were more into Britney Spears and Rihanna, but I was more interested in Jane Goodall and Marie Curie, and that's just how it was. It didn't win me popularity points, but it was what I was interested in, and it was what I was passionate about. So when I got into high school, I decided that I wanted to take every science class that my education could possibly allow, because science, it's so broad. What science would I want? So I took bio, I took AP Bio, I took AP Environmental, and in my mind, this was good. But it wasn't until I took my AP Environmental class that it really clicked. See, I was in my full-scale teenage rebellion, blue hair, punk rock music, trying to stay out late, which never really worked, and I really needed to find somewhere to funnel my passion. And it took about 12 minutes into my AP Environmental class until I realized this was it. Because see, the environment needed a fighter. The ocean can't talk, our soil can't talk, the atmosphere can't talk. So I decided I wanted to be that voice. And so when I applied to schools, I applied as a multitude of environmental disciplines. And I got into my top choice school, which is here. And I got in and I decided to be a coastal environmental science major because I had always loved the ocean. I thought it meant that I'd be spending all my day at the beach, which didn't exactly work out that way, but I still get to go to the beach often. And I decided that this is what I wanted to do with my life. And it was in my freshman year, in my 2nd semester, when I was in my freshman 102 class, which is meant to broaden your interest. And I was talking to another student, and he made this comment at me. Oh, really? You're in sciences? Well, you better take every opportunity that you get, because there's not a lot of opportunities for women in science. And I kind of wrote it off, because as far as I knew, I only had really female role models. I had Rachel Carson. I had my AP Environmental teacher, Miss Dower. So I just kind of was like, oh, okay. But that stuck with me, that there weren't going to be enough opportunities for me in science. I had better grab anyone that I could possibly get. My program has a blog, and this came up October 14th of 2014. It was my brother's birthday. They needed volunteers in a soil lab. I'm coastal sciences. That's pretty much the opposite of soil. But I knew that an opportunity was still an opportunity. So I wrote to the professor, offered my volunteer skills. She needed someone to water. I know water. I know what a cup is. I could take a cup and put it on a couple of 100 bins. Cool. I fell in love with this lab. Earthworm Ecotoxicology. If you had told 5th grade me that by the time I got into college, I was still playing with worms, I probably would have thought you were mental, but I also probably would have agreed with you, because I liked worms then and I still like them now. See, this lab, what turned into a volunteer opportunity, then turned into me being asked to be a team leader, which meant that I was more in charge. I got to help with the writing process. I got to present my research. And that just made my love even more. And this past year, I actually got to see my project start to finish. It went from being that really, really weird piece of paper with scribblings from my chemistry notebook to being set up in front of me. I got to see the process go from the early stages to being in front of me, to physically holding the soil that I was going to be working with. Because in this lab, we study the effects of hazardous materials on soil and earthworm health. And the thing is that the stuff that we work with the most, it's this thing called Roundup. It's an herbicide. It's the most popular herbicide, though, in both the agricultural district and the domestic district, which is a really, really fancy way of saying that any one of you can go to Home Depot, you can go to Lowe's, and you can buy it. And you could spray it however you want. Because I'm going to be honest, I don't read directions. I don't read terms and conditions. I probably sold my soul to Apple more than once in my lifetime. So you can go and spray it however you want, which isn't necessarily good. Because here's the thing. If you don't keep your soil healthy, how do you expect your plants to grow? Think of all the food that you get from the ground. For all my meat eaters out there, your meat is eating food from the ground too. And this thing that's supposed to help our soil, it ends up hurting it. Because what I wanted to look at was how does it affect the microbes in the soil, the stuff that keeps it healthy. And what we found this past year, it drops off significantly its first application. And while we don't see a decrease in worm health, we're not sure if that's actually because it doesn't affect the worms, or if the worms are eating that Roundup and it's getting fatter because of this. But as I know, I can eat as many donuts I want, and I could weigh a lot, but it doesn't mean I'm getting the nutrients that I need. And I get to work with so many fantastic people. Dr. Sharon Pochran, who is the PI in this lab. I get to work with Dr. Heidi Huttner. I get to work with Ginny Clancy, who's in the audience right now. And I get to work with an amazing team of entirely undergraduates. When was the last time you guys heard of an entirely undergraduate-run lab? Because apparently there aren't enough opportunities for undergraduates, or apparently there's not enough opportunities for women in science. This lab defies it all. And we became really interesting in March, because the stuff that we use, Roundup, probably carcinogenic by the World Health Organization. This is the stuff that you guys can buy at Home Depot and Lowe's. This is the stuff for Roundup-resistant crops. It's on your apples, it's on your corn, it's everywhere. For Long Island, it's in the Peconic Bay, it's in our groundwater, because we spray it so much. And that's why we focus on it. But my research has led to so many other opportunities. I'm standing in one right now. And it made me realize how lucky I was that I had a female mentor, that I had female role models in the sciences. Because I never knew that wasn't usual. It's like one of those things, you don't know how lucky you are until you don't have it anymore. Well, I've had it all my life. And I realized that other people didn't have that. So what I want to do is I want to start outreach programs. I go to schools, I talk about this research. I talk about marine pollution, more related to my major. I get to go to Miller Place High School and talk to their environmental club, not only about my research that I'm doing now, but also about the different opportunities that they can take about undergraduate research. I got to go to Riverhead Charter School and talk about marine pollution, and they got to go and see what we put in our oceans. They got to build artwork out of it to try to turn something gross and disgusting into something beautiful. I'm doing this right now. I'm talking to you guys. I did FameLab, an international competition in communicating science. Because if this is my new fiery passion, I want to be able to do it well. I want to be able to communicate my maybe tough ideas to people who might not understand it, but without dumbing it down, because that's part of the problem now. We dumb stuff down because we think that kids or women or anyone can't understand it. I think you guys are a lot smarter than that. I think you understood everything I said. I think that we have to give people the option to understand what we're saying. It's a right to know. Everyone here has the right to know what you might be eating. It's probably carcinogenic, according to the World Health Organization. This is my momentum. I want to see the momentum of having young girls, young guys, people of every age, to understand science. To be able to stand here where I am right now and to communicate just as well. That's what I think that we need for the future. Hopefully it'll become true, I don't know. But at the end of every single presentation I do, I repeat that somewhat sexist comment that was given to me, but of course I change it a little bit. Take every opportunity that's ever presented to you, apply to anything. What's it gonna waste? 30 minutes of your time? If there's an application fee, maybe $20. But by applying to these things, by taking every opportunity, no matter how weird or how off topic it might be, that opportunity might just change your life. I'm living proof of that. Thank you.